Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us today for our free Solano Home Assist workshop, Mastering Your Money, Budgeting and Debt, Part 1. I want to start by extending our sincere gratitude to our sponsor, Solano County, for making this educational series possible. For those of you who are new to us, Solano Home Assist is dedicated to helping our community members get home and stay home. This reflects our commitment to not just finding you housing, but ensuring you can maintain stable housing for years to come. We provide free one-on-one counseling, financial education, and workshops on purchasing your home, eviction prevention, foreclosure assistance, credit repair, and so much more. It is so easy to get signed up for this. What you can do is do this at the solanohomeassist.com website, where you can get an overview of all of our different services. You can also, if you would like free one-on-one counseling, get signed up on our webpage by you simply fill out a short form with all of your information, and then you pick the date and time that you would like to meet with a housing counselor to discuss your specific challenges. It is super easy to do, and you can easily sign up for any of these free services at solanohomeassist.com. Our team of housing counselors are ready to provide expert guidance on home buying, improving your credit, managing debt, and navigating various financial challenges. And on a side note, we will be having part 2 of this workshop next week, which will build on today's foundations and dive deeper into debt repayment strategies and wealth building techniques. You can sign up for that workshop on our webpage as well. Now, I am excited to announce our expert instructor for today, Karina Cook. Karina is a seasoned CEO and tax strategist, a woman of God, a devoted wife, and a mother of 3. Her passion lies in empowering individuals and business owners and families to take control of their financial futures. As a tax strategist, Karina specializes in educating people on making informed financial decisions, minimizing tax burdens, and building long-term wealth. Her mission aligns perfectly with our workshop's goals to provide you with practical strategies for financial independence while fostering a legacy for future generations. Welcome, Karina.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much, Nisi, for that wonderful information and great introduction. I'm so happy to be here and being able to present to the group on wealth building strategies. I love to look at this as part of building wealth because this is going to help you get closer to your money and crush some of your goals that you guys are looking to achieve, whether that is buying a home, investing into retirement plans, or just saving so that you can do something like go on a vacation. So this budgeting class is going to be very fruitful, and I hope that you guys get as much information as you can from this. So I do appreciate you guys being here. And so we're going to talk just that, which is what is it to budget? Okay. Some of the things that we're going to cover today is going to be how do you really look at your financial health? How do you assess that? What does it look like for each individual? We're going to talk about some myths that we can debunk that I've heard about all the time. We talk about it constantly. So if you guys have some of those, throw it in the chat because I want to know from your experience, what do you feel about budgeting? What's your belief about it? Because everyone thinks a little bit differently. So that will be something we'll cover. And then we'll talk about some strategies that you can use. What spending habits you guys tend to have and how that reflects when it comes to your budget. And then we'll also be talking about how to build a realistic budget. So in this workshop today, that is what we're going to cover in part 1. So you guys go along for the ride with me. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We would love you guys to put as much information as possible. And then towards the end, if there's a detailed question, then we'll have time in the end to go over some of those. Okay.
Thank you so much. So as Karina just said, drop your questions in the chat. We will be answering them live during the session. And if something comes up afterwards that you forgot to ask, you can always email us at hello@solanohomeassist.com. Solanohomeassist.com. I'm not sure if I said that the right way. Fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself out the way here and let Karina do her magic.
Thank you, Nisi. I appreciate you. Okay, you guys. So as we went over what we'll cover today, really why it is important to budget. So if you guys are currently who is in this workshop, if you guys are currently budgeting, let me know in the chat. What are you budgeting and what are you budgeting for? I think that would be very helpful as we go along the way. So what is budgeting? I think when I told you guys just a moment ago, I'm sorry, what budgeting was as far as what people think about it. I think when we talk about budgeting, it is being able to have a goal or a plan for your money. Every dollar should have something that it's going to do for you, right? And when we look at budgeting, it's about what do we see in the future? So because we're doing something in the present, but this is to help us be able to achieve something in the future of what we see happening for ourselves. So I look at it as not just tracking your expenses, but like, what are you actually doing with the money? Where is it going? Okay. So money is in all reality a tool, you guys. Okay. It's a tool, a resource for you to be able to use this to your advantage to either build more wealth, maybe buy a home, focus on something that's going to empower you. And it gives you this sense of financial security, right? It gives you that control to be able to say, I'm doing this with my money. And so when we look at budgeting, I think that's an important thing to kind of keep in mind is like, what am I actually budgeting for? So that you're not limited to just tracking expenses. Okay. Because sometimes that can be like a task that you're doing that's not as effective because you don't have a plan for it. And so I wanted to talk about this debunking, right? Because I've heard time and time again, let me know if you guys have heard this. Put a 1 in the chat if you have, because I mentioned budgeting to someone and you can tell like people get a little bit like reserved. And so I said, what's bothering you about it? They said, well, I don't budget. I feel like it's like a broke mentality. Right. And that's took me back a little bit because I could understand the perspective. But when we talk about budgeting, I mean, a lot of wealthy people budget, okay? Because what it's going to do is create a some type of goal, freedom, flexibility for you to have control of where the dollar goes, okay? And it's for any income level. I'm telling you, at the very beginning to the most wealthiest person is budgeting, because it's going to allow you to make better financial decisions, be ready for any opportunity that arises. And it's not something that takes a lot of time. Maybe in the beginning, it will take you a little bit of time at first to understand the concept of budgeting. But as you begin to build this up, it will continue to be something that is more like second nature. So you're just going to check in. You're going to have these goals. You're going to have this idea of what it should look like, and then it's going to be effective. So I see Connie, I don't know how to budget. RS says Starbucks. Exactly. See, well, 2 facts to that. So Starbucks is a very common habit for most people to have. So I don't blame you. But we'll talk about that. Like, what would you do with the money that you have? Maybe you spend on Starbucks that you can use in another area that can yield more money. And if you have a goal in mind, then that helps. But you are not alone, RS. I've heard it all the time. And I think even at some point I would spend a lot of my money on coffee. So you're okay. The goal is to try to work through that though. So Connie, you don't know how to budget. It's something a skill that you can build, and we'll talk about that. And, I want you guys to know that you guys will also have like resources and tools that will give you guys at the end also, so that you can start learning how to be in control of this area. Never have any extra money. Yeah. Okay. And that's a common thing also. So we'll cover that as we get through here. So when we talk about how do you access your financial health? This is the very first step in the groundwork, the foundation of what you guys would actually start to look at of as far as like, where am I financially, right? Some people can be in a way different space than they originally assumed that they were in, because when you just are spending money and you're getting income in, sometimes it's very hard to track what's happening. And by the end of the day, like we said, never have any money left, Jen. You say you're using your debit card, things are getting spent, money is being taken out, bills are getting paid, and you're like, where did the money go? I'm not sure. I don't understand. I know I have bills, but I need more, right? I need to see where this money is going. So when we're looking at our financial health, that's exactly what we're doing. How much income is coming in, right? What am I bringing in every month if we get paid bi-weekly? And then what are we getting paid every month, right? What does that total up to every year? So you're going to look at your paycheck. You're going to look at if you even have income coming in consistently or not. You're going to look at what that is for you, right? How much money am I bringing in each month that is going to help me be able to use this for something else, right? The next thing we do, we're tracking your income. We're looking at expenses. Well, how much money is going out, right? Am I spending money on too much coffee? Or how much is the bill? Do I have unnecessary expenses going out, or things that I just didn't catch right away? Maybe there were some fees or some type of expense that you forgot you had taken out of the account. That's what you're going to look at. Another thing is assets, right? What other things that you have that you own that is creating value? That can be a home, that can be a car, that can be a savings account. I mean, it can be jewelry. What other assets do you have, right? Then we come out with liabilities. And if you guys have debt, let me know. Drop it in the chat if that's something, or you have debt. Can be a car note, it can be a school loan, it can be a credit card, it can be anything that you owe that's not paid off yet. So we're going to look at income, track expenses, look at your assets, and then understand how much debt you are actually in. What's your liability? And that's all that means. Okay. And then so this actually helps you come up with your financial snapshot. Like, what does it look like now? What's the picture? What is the picture? What's our net worth, right? Net worth is collectively like everything that you have, assets, right? How much is that worth minus your liabilities? Okay, so it can even break even at that point, because if you are in debt, if you are like you have loans out, then that actually may bring your net worth down a bit. Okay, so that's something that you want to be aware of, and you want to know this on the back of your hand. So there's things that you can use to understand what that net worth is and how to actually calculate what it is. And when we talk about buying homes, how much is your home worth? Okay, how much do you have left on your car note, on your mortgage? All those things matter. Okay. And so when you're doing that, retirement also is a good thing to start to track. If you guys do have retirement, that is another thing that you want to look at. But these things that we have is a snapshot of what your financial situation actually is. Okay. Do I have an emergency fund already saved? And so that's one of the things you want to like look at the most is, what does it look like for you in this area? Okay. And so when we talk about smart spending strategies, now, this is the part that I'm probably going to stay on for a while. I know that someone said Starbucks, but what is a habit that you feel it's like, I have to have this, so I spend money on it? And for someone said Starbucks. I know people who love to buy tennis shoes, or, they spend money on food. So what is that thing that you feel like, oh, okay, I have a strong code on this. I'm probably either using this, sliding my debit card or my credit card on this more often than I should be. So let me know in the chat, you guys, if you have one of those weaknesses of area that you feel like is not the best way of spending your money. Okay. So some of the smart strategies I like to think about is, what is the priority? Okay. What's essential for me? Okay, we know that utilities are essential. We know that paying your rent, that is essential. So those things that you just absolutely have to pay, you have to prioritize that. Okay, that gets paid first. Okay, and when we talk about, so we have video games, RS. Video games is, and my son plays Roblox, okay, a lot, and he consistently asks, Mom, can I have money to buy this? Can I have money to buy this? And what I teach him is, because he will go through it very quickly. I see on Roblox it's very easy to spend the money on those modifications, right? So we start to say, okay, well, you can only do, even though I give you maybe $20 to use this, you can only use about $5 of that. Okay. The rest needs to last you. And he has this look on his face like, I don't know how I'm going to do that and what she's talking about. But that's how we help monitor actually like what you're using, how much money you're using in an area that is not so, it's not a priority, right? Because we're talking about prioritizing the need. And if you have nothing left over after, or you have a goal to save more money, then this is an area that you can actually limit how much money you're putting into and put it into a need. And fast food, fast food is easy. Okay, it's easy because a lot of the times we are trying to make more time in our lives, or we just say, okay, here's this spot, I'm just going to go do this, right? So I challenge you to think about the 24-hour rule. Okay, that's where we start to go in here. Now, food is a little bit more impulsive. Okay, that is something that happens right away. But when we talk about video games, right? Let's wait a moment, right? Let's see if I still feel that way afterwards, right? That's the 24-hour rule, because this is going to help you save that extra $20, $30, $40 that you put into that game and put it into the needs or the essentials, right? And then also price comparison. So one of the things that happens is we see some shiny things and we say, oh, I want to get this, right? It may be $200. And after you purchase it, you hear someone say, how much did you pay for that? Have you guys had this situation happen where you bought something and you really wanted it, and after you purchased it, someone said, oh, I got that for like $50. And you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't spend all this money because I didn't research. I just purchased it. That's another strategy that I love to bring up when we talk about what's a good strategy to have when we are spending our money and trying to figure out like how much we are using in this area. Okay. And so after that, negotiating your bills is always a good thing as well. So when we're talking about expenses, we're looking at how do we, because I seen someone in the chat say not enough money, right? Because one of the things we'll talk about is increasing your income to make more money, right? But what do you have control over right now? How much are your bills? Can you find something that is a little cheaper? Can you reduce that expense a little bit? So that would be something. And negotiating bills, Connie, simply, let's say that you have some debt, or you have, even with PG&E, there's certain programs that you can get into if you qualify, if you just call them, right? Call their customer care line, their 800 number, and say, hey, I am, trying to look for another deal. So let me give you an example. We have phone bill, right? We have, or even our Xfinity account. We were on a promotion, right, at the time that we had got Xfinity. And we were in the promotion for a while. It seemed like our bill was maybe like $90 at the time, could be around 90. And somehow it shifted to $165. So we were paying $165. And I kept saying, why why is I feel like it jumped up a little bit because now I don't remember paying 165. And I paid that for a couple of months, right? And so I thought about it. I said, this can't be right. I gave them a call. I called Xfinity, and it was some work. I will tell you, it's not always the easiest thing to do when you're calling the 800 numbers, but it can be done. And I called them. I said, hey, this bill is 165. It went from 90. What can we do? Okay. So they gave me options. Sometimes they may not present the right option right away, but if you know that you can get a cheaper, because I knew, well, it was at 90. So I knew it was lower, right? So I went through process of elimination. We stayed on the phone for a while. I said, hey, maybe we need to change my package to XYZ. Okay. Because I probably don't even need all these bells and whistles because I don't even think I was using them. Once that happened, you guys, can you guess? Please put in the comments what you think and take a wild guess how much I got the bill down to. I would want to see whoever is closer to this number, okay? Because it was mind blowing how much money I end up getting this bill down to. So I'm waiting. I would love to hear that. If you guys could guess what that number is. Let's see. I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Just throw something out there. So I went from 90 to 165. Okay, somebody said 65. $90 to $165, 88. You guys, $100. And 100 is still good, right? I mean, not even 100. 65 is ideal. I can do 65. You guys, when I tell you the bill I paid last month, $35. And I kid you not, I am not joking. $35. And I said, internet is still fine. I really don't know what program I was in. I don't know if I needed all the things, but I know my internet is fine. That's all I needed. And it services all of our devices how it's supposed to. So this is what I mean when I say go down and negotiate, reduce your expenses. Let's see what you can actually reduce, because a lot of times their programs change, their promotions change. And so you'll be surprised how many companies you can actually do this with. And yeah, ours it is. I believe it's when the promotional, and that's what they sometimes don't tell you, right? Same thing happened with a lot of Apple subscriptions I had. What am I actually needing and what am I using that is not, or I'm not really using at all, right? So that's what I mean when I say negotiate bills. And then part of that is identifying some money leaks, right? We're talking about when we talk about a leak, we're talking about what I said, the subscriptions, the emotional spending, okay? What do you, for me, emotional, I love to buy makeup, okay? I love to buy clothes. And so I have to really do that 24-hour rule I thought about. And I'm not joking, you guys. And then we talk about high interest debt. That's the worst killer of wealth. There's productive debt and there's reductive debt. Okay. And that is going to be maybe, we talk about a productive debt will be a mortgage, right? That's doing something for you. It's building wealth. You're building equity. You're being able to build wealth to where you can pass this home down to your kids or your family members, right? You can live in this home for quite a long time. This is part of your wealth building journey. So this is something that is a productive. When we talk about reductive debt, we're talking about debt that you just maybe go spend clothes on, right? We spend Starbucks on, we spend unnecessary things that's not going to yield us any wealth in return. So that is something. And the thing about that is when we do that, the high interest feels like takes a long time to pay off that credit card. So just know that those small expenses does add up, as we were just talking about something simple as internet cost. So yeah, if you guys have any strategies, please throw them down below. I'm interested in knowing, maybe I could have missed something. Now, this is the part that I really appreciate. When we're talking about all these things, like what matters, okay? What is a budget? Because someone said they're not really sure, okay? Creating a realistic budget. So what I love to do, I give you two different things, and I've done both of these things, but the one that I really that holds my heart close to my heart is the zero-based budgeting. If anyone has tried any one of these budgeting techniques, please let me know in the chat if you've used one of these. The zero-based budgeting is, I love it. The one reason why is because every dollar goes somewhere, you guys. So you have nothing, right? So that means that when you get money in, you get your income, you're calculating how much money is coming into your household. Then you take the expenses and you say, maybe we go to the expenses that are most important, the rent, maybe your debt, your car notes, things like that. Okay. And if there's even $200 left, then the $200 needs to go somewhere. Okay. We can't leave this budget with $200. We have to put this $200 into another bucket. And this is where getting creative is really great, because now you can say, well, I'll use this $200 and I'll probably put it into a savings account, or maybe I'll put $20 into buying coffee, or maybe $10, right? And so now you have, if we put $10 into buying coffee, now you have $190 that you also have to figure out where to put it. So by the time you're done with this budget, every dollar has a place, it has a home. There's no money left. Okay, so you can't spend out of that. So let's see, we have RS said just spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are good. We'll talk about that actually, what I think about spreadsheets. Connie says never try, just pay bills when they come in. Yeah, see? And so a part of this is being able to have basically a goal in mind. We'll talk about that also. Is not just going with the day-to-day living, right? Because now we're just going with whatever life is bringing us. And now we lose control of what our money is doing. Okay. What I want you guys to practice is how can I direct my money somewhere, right? Not just for bills. Okay. This is how you're able to purchase a home, go on that dream vacation you want, do that nice thing for someone without feeling like bad about it because you maybe not have enough, or you don't know if you have enough to do it. Okay. So when we talk about the zero-based budgeting, that can be a option. And what I love, and so someone said spreadsheets are amazing, and I go back and forth with it. We have a love-hate relationship, but what I found is much more effective is because you get to touch it, right? It's paper, right? When I first started off with budgeting, I actually wrote it down. I had a template that I printed out, and I wrote all my income down on the template. I wrote my expenses down, my due dates, my debt, everything was on paper. Okay. We're going back to the old school method, you guys. It just does something to you. And when we talk about the zero-based budgeting, a good technique to have is cash. This was, we're not in an age where we do a lot of cash, but this is very effective because you get to touch your money. You get to feel it. You get to have more control over it. Anybody use debit cards or credit cards and you look at it and you go, where did that money go? I slid my debit card and it said I had $500 left. And for some reason, I only have $100. Why does it feel that way? Well, when you are dealing with cash on a zero-based budgeting, you do simple things like go to the bank. And when you get your paycheck, it's a lot of different work, but it until you're able to take control of how you're using your money and have some type of discipline, then this is a great method to get you started. Taking the money out of the bank, having the cash on hand, and putting the cash in little envelopes. They have really great tools, or you could just go simply to go to the dollar store and get the envelope, write on that envelope what that bill's for. Maybe this is my monthly rent. Maybe this is my phone bill. and you put just that in there. Maybe this is just to go out and eat. So now every dollar has a direction. So if you have cash, you'll spend it. Well, that's another thing, right? You may, but what you do is, this is where discipline comes in. Okay. And we'll talk about like the kind of mindset you would need to be in to achieve some of these things. The next thing I want to do is talk about the 50-30-20 rule. This is a very popular rule. Okay. So you, instead of everything has a job and you just kind of put it in certain areas, 50% instead goes to your needs. Okay. And 30%, we talk about maybe wants. Wants are like extracurricular activities, things that you're interested in, right? And then 20% will go to savings and paying off debt. Okay. So this gives you like a overview, or it gives you some like accountability to say, I'm actually going to put most of my money where it needs to go. Those things are non-negotiable. Okay. And that way it feels like now you can still contribute to things you want to do, right? Which is still being able to do those extracurricular activities. And so one of the things I would say, you guys, that will help if you automate things. Okay. Automation helps. And then, there's tools out there. If you guys use any tools, let me know. Like if you have already tried to, besides you going down and writing them yourself, let me know, because we talk about the digital envelopes. There's things like mint.com, which is an app, which is amazing. And there was another one that I used that was very good. When I find out the name, hopefully by the end of the class, I can let you guys know. This helped me out a lot. But there is a cost to this one app, which is the con. So you would have to say, is it worth it, or do I want to put the more work in? But it allows you to be able to track things digitally. Autopay. So Vivian said, I use autopay at my bank. Does that count? Vivian, when we say autopay at the bank, are you saying autopay taking money out of your account to put it into a bill or put it into savings? Can you expand on that a little bit for me? Okay. Now, choosing the right budgeting method for you. Okay. I think this is really important because not everyone is going to do the same thing. Okay. Everyone is different. Like I just said, cash was good for me, but it wasn't good for someone else. So that's something that you guys have to really sit down and say, based off my personality, my tendencies, and what I know I'm probably not the best at, what is the best method? That's what you kind of want to look at. And sometimes it takes process of elimination, guys. When we talk about these things, this is not something that's going to be like done overnight. You have to kind of build up a practice to say what's going to work the best for me. So Vivian, all my bills are paid each month. What's left is my extra. Perfect. So you already know most of that is going into what needs, right? That's 50% is automated, which is amazing. So you don't have to go pay it on your own. That's taken care of. Now, Vivian, what you're going to focus on is like, what is the wants though? Now that you have your bills paid, let's say 50%, or find out what that allocation is, how much is going to bills, okay? How much is coming out, and what's now, can something be cut that's unnecessary is what I would ask, right? When we look at how much bills are. Because the tricky thing with autopay is sometimes we're on autopay and we don't realize that there's some bills that don't really need to be there anymore. Okay, so I have a lot of apps that I purchase, and I'm guilty of this. Do not judge me, guys. So I had a fitness app. Never used it, right? I was paying monthly every month, like $15 a month on my fitness app. And I thought, well, I'm not even using this. Let me just cut this expense because it's on autopay. So I encourage you to use some of those things. Like if everything's good, then we're great in that area. You can start looking at the wants. Like how much am I going to allocate to wants? Because maybe you're fine, but for some people, you may need to say, I'm spending like 40% in the wants section, and maybe I cannot save now because I'm spending way more money just because the bills are paid in an area that's not yielding me more money. Okay. So credit card is all these smart charges from Google Pay. Exactly. So you guys will be surprised too with credit cards, right? We leave things on credit cards as auto, it's just taking out every month, and maybe we don't need those things anymore. Small charges. Google Play it's like, I have Apple, you guys, and that was one of the things that I had to make sure that I'm looking at, because I'm paying more because I don't see it. And before you know it, that's $100 in expenses that is unnecessary. Okay. So when we talk about that, are you detail oriented, or are you a big picture thinker? Okay. Because that's going to, what I was getting at before, is that's going to determine how you're going to figure out what's the best method. Okay. Maybe if you're detail oriented, then Excel spreadsheet is just enough RS, right? That's good for you, because now you're able to really break it down or see it a certain way. Okay. If you're a big picture thinker, what does that look like for you? And then what matches your lifestyle? Okay. Is your income stable? Okay. Do I make enough money coming in? And what does my spending habits look like? Just because I have the money to spend on it does not always mean that it should go to that specific thing. Okay. Especially if it's not balanced. If you don't have a savings account built up, or emergency fund. Okay. Those things are very important. And, you're going to change methods. What worked for me a while ago did not. The cash method worked for me when I first started, guys. So that's what I wanted to let y'all know. I don't always do it, but when I needed to create discipline and consistency, the cash, going to the bank, taking it out, touching the money, putting it in the envelopes was perfect. But I eventually mastered that. I paid my debt off, and I grew my savings to where it needed to be, because I just had to make sure that I was being responsible. But eventually I started to use different automating apps like Mint. I started using Mint, and then I started to use Excel, because I felt like I can get more in tune with it. So it's all going to be on you customizing what you feel is best for you and your personality. Okay. Test it, try it out. If it doesn't work, try it again. Just don't get discouraged. Okay. And another thing I want to let you guys know is, what are you doing it for? Okay. Because if we don't really, I see some people in the comments say there's some mixed things about it, as far as like, I'm just paying my bills. I'm going with the flow. I'm spending money where I feel like I want things. Right. But when we start to switch things and say, well, what is the overall goal? I think when you put a goal behind what you're doing, that actually starts to help you determine why you're putting money away. Okay. So let's say that, and so we start from long-term, midway, and short-term. Always start from the long-term. Okay. What is my long-term goal? What's 5 years? Okay. So let's say in 5 years, I want to purchase a home, right? Or I want to have 2 homes by then. Well, what do I have to do? How much money does that require? So I start to work backwards. Okay. Now that I know that this long-term goal requires me I want to purchase a home in 5 years, or 2 homes by 5 years, right? How much money is that going to cost me? Now, when I'm working midway through there, 1 to 5 years, what do I need to be doing? How much money should I have already had saved? And then you start to work your way to the short-term goals. Now, the 3 to 12 months, what can I control? Well, 3 to 12 months right now, you can control budgeting. Okay. There should be an action behind, like something that is tied to you emotionally, of why you actually want to do this with your money, right? Maybe you're getting married. Maybe you really have not went on a vacation and took your family for a very long time. Maybe you want to purchase a home and make a down payment, right? So you can afford your mortgage. And then you start to say, now I know why I'm doing this. Maybe I want to build a savings account, right? At least if I have an emergency. Yeah, you guys, let me know in the chat, what goals do you have? Let me know. If we can say in the next 1 to 5 years, what would my goal ultimately be that I would work towards right now? What would that be? Let's see. I'm very interested. I know for me personally, I want to purchase some land that we can build on and have like a compound. Okay, that's my 5-year goal. So I've already tracked and measured what I need to do up and leading into that. How much money do I need to make in 2 years, 1 year, every month, and what deals do I need to come across in order to do that? It has to be very specific and intentional. So I want to travel. Christina, where are you looking to travel to? And what method are you looking to travel in? Do you want to fly? Do you want to rent a trailer? How long do you want to travel for? I want you to get as specific as possible. What does that look like for you? Jen says she wants a bigger apartment. Okay, Jen, where is that bigger apartment going to be? How many rooms do you want? What do you want your closet to look like? A new car that doesn't break, Vivian. And that's a really great goal to push for. And Connie says, not just stress and be ready for emergencies. Exactly. Right. So Connie, you want your long-term goal, maybe short-term, right? That sounds like a short-term goal to start hitting now. Also, right, Connie, is building an emergency fund, right? This is going to help your mental health. This is going to help you be able to, if emergency happens, you don't have to currently take from a credit card if that's what you're doing, or take from your income that you just got up, right? You want to have 3 to 6 months worth of emergency fund in case something happens, you lose your job, maybe your hours changed. So starting to build towards that would be a very productive way of having a goal set. I want you guys to look at it like, how specific can I be? The more specific you are, the more intentional you will be when we're looking at either how much income you need to get in more of, right? Because if you cut your expenses, maybe you still need a little bit more, right, to bring in. And so that would be something I would say is, let's get specific. And get specific, you guys, you can do like a vision board. Okay. You can start writing it down, tracking it. Okay. And I'll have something at the end. We'll have a tool for you guys to understand, like, what is a SMART goal? Like, how do you get this down and understand like what's important? Okay. That's going to be really important for you guys to say, I can do this. Okay. So I love those ideas. I think it's a great way to say, stick to what you're trying to do and have a reason behind it. Now, after all these things, what happens? I'm looking at my income. I understand how much I'm worth, my net worth. I understand how much expenses come out every month. I have now allocated or picked a method, whether that is a zero-based budgeting or the 50-30-20 rule, whatever you guys have decided. And I also have a goal, right? I've created a why behind why I'm trying to get my finances and budget it and do it what I want to do with my money as a tool. How do I stay motivated? Because things are going to happen, you guys. Sometimes it's going to feel overwhelming, or I don't want to budget today, or it's going to be taking too long on this day, but you have to stay consistent. And in order to do that, you celebrate the wins. So what I would do is, if I achieved my savings goals, because I have this goal where if I paid $5,000 into the savings, I would color it in and say the first 1,000 I colored in. Every 1,000 I made, I would go to dinner. I would treat myself. That's what I wanted to do. Get my eyebrows done. Do something that made me feel good. So a lot of the times I may have even took some wants out because I didn't have room to put away for wants. I just wanted to do my needs and my savings. That's all I wanted to do. And then I started to say, well, I need to start feeling like I'm achieving something. I need to celebrate that. So celebrating those milestones, like what it takes for you to get to point A, you build a savings account to a certain amount. Celebrate that, guys. That is what's going to keep you going. And then you also want to make it obtainable. Okay, realistic. If you start to set unrealistic goals where it's too hard to achieve for that very moment, you're going to feel let down. And that's the last thing we want to do, is feel like defeated, right? So make it measurable, right? Make it a little harder than what you can do, but make it achievable, right? Or, make it where you can do it, but you have to put work in. Okay. You're not rolling a rock uphill and some people are pushing you down. It's not going to feel like that. Okay. Another thing is find accountability partners. And if you find someone who is also budgeting, they're good at it, or they have the same goal. Maybe they don't want to pay off debt, but maybe they want to purchase a home, or they want to track their spending. Do that. And if you find someone who doesn't want to, that you just need someone, a family member, a friend, to hold you accountable, that's also good. But it allows you to say, if I don't do this, someone's going to hold me accountable. Okay. If you guys have that partner or have an idea of it, I encourage you to think about who that can be. Okay. That's going to be very important. And also, I want to know, before I get to this last one, if you celebrate the small wins, what does that small win look like for you? If you can say, I hit my goal, what is the reward for you? Let's drop it in the chat. What is your reward? Vivian, like a workout buddy. Exactly. Right. It's just like that. Just like that. Okay. I have a friend who, at one point, we were trying to get out of debt. Exactly what we did. She would text me, and we didn't work on our budget together, so to speak, but we talked about what our goals were. It was, okay, we both wanted to get out of debt, so we made it a challenge. Okay, so she pays the debt. She texts me, pay X amount of debt off this month, and I'm looking to do this next month. Okay. So I would say same thing. Well, I paid this much off. I didn't do it this month, right? But this is why. And so you need someone to hold you accountable. Another thing we did was meet every week. Okay. We met, and it might be pushing it for some people, but we met once a week and not only talked about debt, we talked about other things. Okay. That was going to push us towards what we were working towards. And so we did this on Mondays, and we still do it now with other parts of our business, right? We meet every Monday to hold each other accountable. Did you get it done? Okay. Next time, no excuses, right? And then adjust as needed. Sometimes budgeting needs to be adjusted because things happen. And that's another thing of why we create emergency funds and things like that, because things happen in life, right? That you just cannot control. So give you guys yourself some grace on that. Jen said, a nice dinner out, or be allowed to buy that one thing I didn't buy while being disciplined. Exactly. And Jen, I'm telling you, that is going to feel so great at the end of that, when you feel like you've done the things that you needed to do and you had a small win and you treated yourself. It's not about doing these things and just going to where you cannot the plants that you are sowing, right? The seeds you are sowing. You're supposed to get some type of check-in. You're supposed to be able to feel liberated. Okay. And so by doing that, I think you should treat yourself for sure, but just find out at what point you would do that. So now you're reaching towards something. Okay. More makeup. Vivian, I love that. So go on a halt. We won't buy makeup for X amount of time, right? So I will not buy makeup until I've done X, right? So that's how specific I want you to be. That way you're looking forward to doing the thing, but you're also looking forward to hitting that milestone so that you can go get something for yourself. Exactly. And I'm with you on that. Okay. And so what we say to like go back to what we're actually doing is look at where you are. Where am I currently? I'm going to assess my income and expenses and my assets and understand how much debt I'm in order to determine where I actually sit. Do I have money left over? Do I have to cut expenses? Do I have to try to find a way to increase my income? Okay. And then you choose a method. Okay. So what method do you want to use? And it, by all means, you guys, if I did not list that method and you have another method, use the method. Okay. We talked about digitizing. Maybe some people are more digital. Maybe you want to do the mint.com. Maybe you found another budgeting source that you want to use, but find something that works best for you. Okay. And set goals. Clear goals, you guys. It's important to understand why you're doing the thing. Okay. Get as specific as you can. I don't care if you want to put, I want to smell the ocean breeze or the water and it needs to smell like this, or my closet needs to be this way, or the room needs to have this in it. The more specific you are, the better. Okay. And then implement a system. What system can you do? Maybe I want to check on it every week, maybe every 2 weeks, right? How does that look for your life? How much time can you put into this thing, right? So that's something that I would say you want to start looking into how you can obtain that and create a system for yourself, okay? And find an accountability partner, okay? Now, this is the most important thing. It's going to be important for you guys to do your own research, for you to find more resources that can help you understand different methods of how you can go about it. And when I talk about feed yourself, it's listening to podcasts. Okay. What type of thing do you guys read books? Who reads books and who likes to listen to podcasts? I'm an Audible person. I read a book or two in a couple of pages, but because I'm always on the go, or I may not have time to actually look at the book, I'm always listening. So I have Audible, I have podcasts that I listen to that helps me when I'm in the weeds of things. Okay. So Connie, I would encourage you to find something that works for you that can help you understand how to break the budgeting down more, right? So when we talk about, I love Tiffany Alicia. She's a budgetista and she's very helpful. I use some of her techniques. Also, there's a show on Netflix that she created, which is helping people with their budgets. That was one of the greatest budgeting Netflix series that I've watched. It should still be on Netflix. I watched it a while ago, maybe like a year or so. But there's a budgeting like TV show, right? And she goes through this with families, which is very helpful for you to actually see different perspectives and like ways that you can use a budget. Okay, there's forums like the Boggleheads forum. You can use that. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. That's a book, right? And who has read or heard Dave Ramsey? People talk about the Total Money Makeover. Let me know, you guys, because this was the best book, I think, who would jumpstart me into budgeting. Dave Ramsey is a very great resource. Suze Orman. Okay. That's something. See, like you guys have heard, there's some I have not heard of. Is it Suze or Susie Orman? That's a good one. Even Budgeting 101, Rich Dad Poor Dad. No, it is not Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's actually a really great book on how to build wealth, right? Having a mindset of being rich and poor, right? That's very helpful. And those are things, though, that I say to look at. Those are important because it helps train your mind a lot differently. So the whole point of this is to start training your mind. So it's not just going to start with you doing the budget. That's probably not going to be enough. You need to start seeing more information, listening, feeding your ears with more financial knowledge that's going to help sink in what you're doing, right? It's going to put another why behind those things. And there was another one that I really like, but Budgeting 101 is really great too. And this breaks it down so much if you're a reader. You guys can also, practice. Okay, that's going to be very important. So now as we are like wrapping this up a little bit, I would like to know from you guys. Oh, and also before we wrap this up, the next session that we would be talking about, if there's any debt questions, because I did not cover debt in this workshop. That is enough in itself. So the next workshop, we will actually be talking about that. So let me know if that is something that you guys are looking forward to, because I cannot wait to cover that, that portion of it. And so this kind of wraps up this session in the first half of the budget. So you guys, next we'll be talking about, if you guys have more questions or want to cover more that we didn't in the chat, let's do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karina. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. On our view page for this webinar, and I'm on my way to go get it right this very second.
Okay.
There we have embedded a handout that you made called My Budget Workbook. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about that and what people can find in there?
Sure. So the budget workbook is actually going to have what we talked about with the SMART goals, right? How do you make it specific? This is the main thing, you guys. It needs to be specific, okay? Measurable, okay? How do you achieve this, right? Can you achieve it? Sometimes if you aim to make $100,000, it's possible, right? In 2 months. Okay. So that's what we talk about, like measurable, achievable, obtainable. Okay. What steps do you need to achieve this? What needs to happen? And give yourself a good time frame, right? Why is it important to you? And when do you want to get this done by? Okay. So this holds you accountable. And this is one of the things that you can actually go over when you're seeing if you're actually hitting your goals or have an accountability partner. And then we also have the income tracker, the expense tracker, which is great because this will allow you to say like what you're actually bringing in, how much money is going out. And then if you feel you can make more money, more income in a side hustle or bonuses at your job, try to achieve that to bring in more income. So you'll have those too for my paper pals out there. Okay, and then we'll have your bill tracker, your income versus expenses each month. How are you looking for, like, what does that look like for you? Have you been doing the right thing? So you'll have that track to go back and say, what am I doing? Have I achieved that?
Fantastic. So I put the link to this page in the chat. And this is the page that has the watch screen for this. And you can flip through this budget workbook and you can also download the PDF. So head on over there and this will stay up even after our conversation today. So like Karina said, I want to remind everybody there is a part 2 of this workshop series. The online version will be next week, but on our website, we will also have in-person classes. You're welcome to attend these classes over and over and over again. If there's more that you want to get out of it, if you have specific questions, it's all free. So registration for those workshops is at our website. It is solanohomeassist.com/workshops. And there you can see all of our upcoming dates and times of what's going on. I'd also like to say that if you have a moment, if you could fill out a survey and let us know how you like this workshop. We'd love to know, what else would you like to see? Was there something Karina said that you would like more information about that you think would make a great workshop? Tell us, please. What other topics should we have more workshops on? We're here to help you. Solano County has brought us to help with educating. So let us know what kind of education you're looking for, please. Let's see. And if you found today's session valuable, I encourage you to schedule a free one-on-one counseling session with one of our housing counselors. They can go talk about anything that we've talked about in this workshop. If you want to clean up your credit, if you're looking to someday buy a home, if you're facing issues with evictions or foreclosures, you can go to our website, solanohomeassist.com, start and fill out a short form, and you will be presented with a calendar where you can, matter of fact, I think I can even show this here on the screen. So let me make this just a smidge bigger here. And I'm going to hit this big start button at the very top of my screen. And the first part that's going to pop up is the form that you fill out right here. Just tell us a little bit about who you are and exactly what issues you're facing and how urgent is your need. And then once you've got that filled out, you have the ability to pick a day and a time that works for you. These appointments are virtual. We can also schedule in person if we need to, but look at all of those slots. So if something happens and all of a sudden you need to talk to somebody today, there's a time slot at 7:30 p.m. where you can have one-on-one help discussing your specific issues. So with that being said, Karina, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your information and for caring, because these are things that I know when I was in school, we were never taught budgeting. It wasn't talked about. And when I got to college, they had all these people out there with all these free credit cards, and you get a free t-shirt if you sign up. And of course we signed up. I have so many of those t-shirts. Well, I did. I don't have any more anymore because I see, ooh, free t-shirt, not thinking about what this is going to mean for me long term. And 10 years later, I still have that credit card on my credit report. So thank you for providing this education. So before we wrap it up, any final thoughts?
Well, one, I would definitely say, you guys, it's not going to be something that is a quick thing, right? So the most important part is just taking that first step and know that it's going to help with being consistent and being disciplined. And so you might not see the reward right away, but I encourage you guys to put that goal behind it, because that'll help you keep going forward, even when you don't really see it happening as quickly as you expected. And when you don't let that go, then I think you'll be very successful. So hopefully you guys use that discipline and consistency in this season.
Thank you so much. So thank you again to Solano County for allowing us to bring these workshops out to our community. So on behalf of Solano Home Assist, thank you, Karina, and thank you everybody who stayed with us. We will make these workshops available on our learning portal, and we look forward to seeing you in our future workshops. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Bye, guys.